My name is Althea Brown. I am 72 years old. And the day my family thought I was dying was the day I truly woke up. Before I begin, let me ask you something. Have you ever been in a room full of people who love you, but still felt completely alone? If that sounds familiar, then stay with me. And before we go any further, please subscribe, like this video, and turn on the notification bell so you don't miss stories like mine. Also, tell me in the comments where you're watching from. I want to know who is here with me. Now listen closely. Because what I heard changed everything. It started in the hospital. White walls. Beeping machines. That smell you never forget. The doctor had just left. I was tired, weak. My eyes were closed. They thought I was asleep. I was. My daughter leaned close to my bed and whispered, "She's not going to make it long." My son sighed and said, "Then we need to talk about her things now." My heart skipped. My hand stayed still. Then my sister spoke. "I want the house," she said quickly. "I've always lived closest." The room went quiet for half a second. Then voices started overlapping. Loud, sharp, greedy. "What about the jewelry?" "She promised me the couch." "I need the car." "She won't need it anymore." I lay there, still, listening to my life being divided, while my chest was still rising and falling. My grandson laughed and said, "Just don't tell Grandma yet. She'll stress herself out." That laugh cut deeper than any sickness. Not one person asked how I felt. Not one person held my hand. They spoke about me like I was already gone. I wanted to scream. I wanted to open my eyes. But something inside me said, "Stay quiet, listen." So I did. My daughter said, "We should check her will." My sister replied, "She probably never updated it." My son added, "Then we'll figure it out after." After. As if I was already dust. That night, when they finally left, I cried into my pillow. Silent tears. Old tears. The kind you swallow so nobody sees. But something else happened too. Something dangerous. Something powerful. I started remembering things. Every sacrifice. Every bill I paid. Every child I raised. Every time I put myself last. And I realized something that made my heart stop for a different reason. They didn't see me as dying. They saw me as done. The next morning, the doctor came back. He smiled. "Mrs. Brown," he said, "your numbers are improving." I opened my eyes. For real this time. And I whispered, "Oh, I'm not going anywhere yet." But what my family didn't know, what none of them expected, was that while they were fighting over my things, I was already planning what to do next. And trust me when I say this, they were not ready. Before I continue this story, kindly subscribe, like, turn on the bell, and tell me in the comments where you're watching from. When you lie in a hospital bed long enough, you learn the difference between sleep and pretending. That night, I pretended. My eyes stayed closed. My breathing stayed slow. My hands rested still on the white sheets. But my mind was wide awake. The room smelled like medicine and old flowers. Someone had brought lilies earlier that day. They sat on the small table, already wilting. I thought that was fitting. Footsteps returned. Soft at first. Then more. I counted them. 1, 2, 3, 4. My daughter came in first. I knew her steps anywhere. She walked the same way she did as a child, fast, like she was always late for something. "She's still out," she whispered. My son replied, quieter. "Good." That word sat heavy in the air. Good. My sister moved closer to the bed. I could feel her presence, even without seeing her. "She looks worse tonight," she said. I wanted to laugh. I wanted to say, "You should see me when I'm angry." But I stayed still. The doctor had said my body was tired. That was true. But tired didn't mean finished. They didn't know the difference. "We should talk now," my son said. "Before it's too late." Too late. My daughter sighed. "I don't want to do this here." My sister snapped back. "Well, where else? She won't be around much longer." There it was. The sentence that split something open inside me. Not if. When. I felt my chest tighten. Not from pain. From betrayal. I had cooked their meals. Paid their bills. Held their bobbies. Sat quietly in the background of their lives like furniture. And now they were measuring my time like leftovers. My son cleared his throat. "Mom always said the house would be split evenly." My sister laughed. "She said a lot of things." My daughter whispered sharply, "Lower your voice. Lower your voice." Not because I might hear. Because someone else might. They moved closer together. I could feel the air shift. "The house should go to me," my sister said. "I'm older. I've sacrificed more." I almost opened my eyes at that. Sacrificed more. My daughter shook her head. "That's not fair. I lived with her the longest." Lived with me. Like I wasn't a person. Like I was a situation. "What about the savings?" my son asked. "She had money set aside." I wanted to scream. "I still have money set aside." My grandson spoke then. Too casually. "She won't need it where she's going." Laughter followed. Small. Quick. Cruel. That was the moment my heart hardened. Not broke. Hardened. Because when people laugh at your ending, they forget you might still have a pen. My sister leaned in. "Has anyone checked her paperwork?" My daughter hesitated. "She keeps everything in a metal box." "Yes, I do." My son said. "Then we need to find it." I felt cold spread through my fingers. Not fear. Awareness. They weren't waiting for me to die. They were preparing. And I was right there. Breathing. Listening. Remembering every word. "Let's not rush," my daughter said. "She could wake up." My sister scoffed. "Look at her." I wanted to say, "Look at yourself." My grandson yawned. "This is boring." I memorized that voice. I memorized them all. Eventually, they left. One by one. Still talking. Still dividing. The door closed. The room went quiet. Only the machine kept beeping. That's when I cried. Silent tears. They slid sideways into my ears. Soaked the pillow. I cried for the woman I had been. The one who believed love meant staying quiet. But I also felt something else. Something new. Anger. Not loud. Focused. I whispered to the ceiling. "They think I'm finished." The machine beeped again. Steady. Alive. The next morning, the nurse came in smiling. "Good news," she said. "You're responding well." I smiled back. "Funny," I said softly. "They already buried me." She laughed, not understanding. Later that day, my family returned. Smiles on their faces. Concern painted carefully on. My daughter squeezed my hand. "Mama, how are you feeling?" I opened my eyes slowly. Let them see the life still there. "I'm listening," I said. They froze. Just for a second. My son laughed awkwardly. Always joking. I smiled inside. "You have no idea." That night, I didn't pretend to sleep. I did sleep. Because now I knew. They thought I was dying. They thought they had time. But while they were fighting over my things, I was counting something else. Moves. Before I continue this story, kindly subscribe, like, turn on the bell, and tell me in the comments where you're watching from. The second night felt different. Not because my body felt stronger, but because my mind did. I noticed things I had ignored before. How quickly they leaned in when a nurse stepped out. How fast their smiles faded when they thought no one was watching. How silence followed me like a shadow. My daughter came in first again. She sat closer this time. Too close. "Mama," she said softly, "can you hear me?" I didn't answer. Not yet. She brushed my hand with her fingers. Light. Testing. "She's still weak," she whispered toward the door. The door opened wider. More footsteps. My son. My sister. And my grandson, scrolling on his phone like he was waiting for a bus. "She's fatting," my sister said. "She won't last the week." I almost laughed. "I've lasted worse than you." My son lowered his voice. "We need to be smart." Smart. That word again. "What about the box?" my sister asked. The room went quiet. I could feel their attention turn toward my bedside table, toward the drawer, toward the things I kept close. "I haven't seen it here," my daughter said. My son frowned. "She always keeps it nearby." I swallowed. Slow. Careful. My grandson finally looked up. "Is that the thing with the papers and money?" "Yes," my sister said quickly. "And jewelry." Jewelry. The necklace my mother gave me. The ring I saved years to buy. My daughter hesitated. "We shouldn't go through her things yet." My sister snapped. "She won't know." That was the moment. The exact moment. I opened my eyes. The room froze. Every single face stiffened like they'd been caught stealing. My daughter gasped. "Oh, Mama, you're awake." I blinked slowly. Let my eyes adjust. Let them panic. "I am," I said. My voice was quiet, but it landed hard. My son forced a smile. "We didn't want to wake you." I looked at him. Then my sister. Then my grandson. "You didn't," I said. Silence pressed down. Thick. Uncomfortable. My daughter laughed nervously. "We were just talking." "I heard," I said. Her smile slipped. My sister cleared her throat. "You shouldn't strain yourself." "I wasn't straining," I replied. I was listening. No one spoke. Even the machine seemed quieter. My grandson muttered. "She hears everything." I turned my head slightly. "Yes," I said. "I do." My son stepped forward. "Mama, you're confused." That word hit like a slap. "I'm clearer than I've been in years," I replied. My sister crossed her arms. "We were just being practical." "About my death?" I asked. My daughter's eyes filled. "Mama, don't say it like that." "Like what?" I asked. "Like the truth." My son sighed. "You're tired, let's talk later." "No," I said. "We'll talk now." They didn't expect that. They expected weakness. Confusion. Silence. "I heard you dividing my house," I continued. "My money, my things." My sister snapped. "You're sick." "And alive," I replied. That shut her up. I shifted slightly in bed. Pain shot through my side. But I didn't show it. "You thought I was dying," I said. "So you stopped pretending." My grandson looked down. Shame flickered. Just for a second. My daughter whispered. "We didn't mean it that way." "You meant it exactly that way," I said. The nurse knocked. Peeked in. "Everything okay?" "Yes," I said calmly. "Everything is very clear." They left soon after. Too quickly. Avoiding my eyes. When the door closed, my heart pounded. Not from fear. From certainty. They would come back. And next time, they would be smarter. Later that night, the nurse returned. I waited until she finished checking my chart. "Can you do me a favor?" I asked. She smiled. "Of course. Bring me my bag from the closet," I said. "The one with the lock." She nodded and left. When it came back, I opened it slowly, reached inside, and pulled out the metal box. Still there. Still mine. I placed it under my pillow, close to my heart. Then I whispered the truth to myself. They think I'm dying. I closed my eyes. But this time, I wasn't pretending, because now I knew something they didn't. I had time, and I had plans, and the next move would be mine. Before I continue this story, kindly subscribe, like, turn on the bell, and tell me in the comments where you're watching from. When people believe you're dying, they stop hiding. That is the first thing I learned. The second thing I learned was this. They rush. The morning after I opened my eyes and spoke, my room stayed quiet longer than usual. No early visits. No fake smiles. No hands squeezing mine too tight. They were regrouping. I could feel it. The nurse came in first. She checked my blood pressure, smiled, and said, "You're doing better today." I nodded slowly. "Some days," I said, "are stronger than others." That was true. But I chose which days they would see. When my daughter finally came in, her smile looked practiced, like something she had rehearsed in the mirror. "Mama," she said softly, "how are you feeling now?" I took a breath. Let my shoulders sink. Let my eyelids droop. "Tired," I whispered. Her eyes lit up just a little. She didn't notice, but I did. "Oh," she said quickly, sitting down. "That's normal. You've been through a lot." I nodded again. Stayed quiet. Silence makes people uncomfortable. And uncomfortable people talk. She leaned forward. "We were all really worried last night," she said. "You scared us." I opened my eyes halfway. "I scared you?" I asked. She hesitated. "Well, yes, you shouldn't push yourself." "Push myself." "By listening." "I'll rest," I said softly. Her shoulders relaxed. "Good." A few minutes later, my son came in. He stood at the foot of the bed. Didn't come closer. Didn't touch me. "How's she doing?" he asked my daughter, not me. "She's weak today," my daughter replied. Weak. That word again. My son nodded slowly. "That's expected." Expected. He finally looked at me. "Hey, Mom." I forced a small smile. "Hey." He shifted his weight. "We talked to the doctor." My heart thudded, but my face stayed calm. "And?" I asked. He sighed. "They say you should avoid stress." "Stress?" My daughter added quickly. "So we thought it might be best if we handle things for you." Things. I swallowed. Pretended it took effort. "Like what?" I asked. My son glanced at my daughter. She glanced back. That was their signal. "Well," she said carefully. "Paperwork, bills, your arrangements." Arrangements. I closed my eyes. Let them believe I was overwhelmed. "That's a lot," I murmured. My daughter reached for my hand. "Don't worry," she said. "We'll take care of everything." That sentence told me exactly what I needed to know. They didn't want to help me. They wanted control. Later that afternoon, my sister arrived. She didn't greet me. She went straight to my daughter. "I heard she's declining," she whispered. Declining. I almost laughed. My daughter nodded. "Some days are worse." My sister stepped closer to the bed, peered at me like I was an object. "Open your eyes, Althea," she said sharply. I did. Slowly. Her face tightened. You look terrible. I smiled faintly. Thank you. She waved it off. You know what I mean. Yes. I did. My sister crossed her arms. We need to talk about your house. My daughter stiffened. Not now. My sister ignored her. You can't leave things messy. Messy. I sighed softly. Maybe later, I said. That wasn't the answer she wanted. That night, I heard them again. Whispering. Planning. She's slipping, my sister said. Good, my son replied. That word again. Good. We need to find the box, my sister whispered. She always keeps it close. I felt my heart beat faster. But I stayed still. My daughter said. It was under her pillow yesterday. My sister inhaled sharply. Then we wait until she's asleep. I almost smiled. Because I was already awake. I waited until their footsteps faded. Until the hallway went quiet. Then I slowly reached under my pillow. Touched the middle box. Cold. Solid. Real. I whispered to myself. They think I'm fatting. I turned my head toward the door. Listened to the silence. And made my decision. I would let them believe it. Because weak people are underestimated. And underestimated people have the advantage. Before I continue this story, kindly subscribe, like, turn on the bell, and tell me in the comments where you're watching from. The thing about pretending to be weak is this. You hear everything. That night, I barely breathed. Not because I was afraid. Because I was waiting. The hallway light slid under my door. A shadow moved. Then another. Soft steps. Careful ones. My daughter's voice came first. She's asleep, she whispered. My sister replied. Good, hurry. I felt the mattress dip slightly. Someone sitting on the edge of my bed. The smell of my sister's perfume. Too strong. Too familiar. My son hovered near the door. Just be quick, he murmured. Quick. Like I was already gone. My sister's hand slid toward my pillow. I felt it brush my cheek. Cold fingers. Greedy fingers. She whispered. Where is it? My daughter hissed. It was here earlier. My heart thudded. But my body stayed still. Then my sister pressed down. Right near my neck. Hard. Searching. I could feel her fingers touch the metal box. Just barely. That's when I coughed. A small sound. Weak. Dry. They froze. Every single one of them. My daughter whispered sharply. She's waking up. My sister yanked her hand back like she'd been burned. I opened my eyes slowly. Just enough. What are you doing? I murmured. My daughter rushed to my side. Mama, you scared us. I blinked. Pretended confusion. My head hurts, I said. My sister backed away. Her face pale. We thought you needed help. Help. Always that word. I lifted my hand weakly. Pointed to the door. I need the nurse, I whispered. My son cursed under his breath. The nurse came quickly. She took one look at my face and frowned. What happened? My daughter spoke fast. She got dizzy. I shook my head slowly. No, I said. Everyone turned to me. She was touching my pillow, I whispered. The room went silent. The nurse's eyes hardened. Is that true? She asked. My sister stammered. We were just checking. The nurse cut her off. You don't touch a patient's belongings. She turned to me. Do you feel unsafe? I swallowed. Let a tear slip. Just one. Yes, I said softly. That word landed harder than any accusation. The nurse straightened. Visiting hours are over. But, my daughter started. Now, the nurse repeated. They were ushered out. Angry. Shaken. Caught. When the door closed, I exhaled for the first time all night. My hands trembled. But my mind was clear. The nurse pulled a chair close. You did the right thing, she said. I nodded. I know. She lowered her voice. If you need help, real help, tell me. I met her eyes. I will. Later that night, I didn't sleep. I planned. I moved the metal box. Not under my pillow. Not in my bag. Somewhere smarter. And I wrote one sentence in my notebook. They crossed the line. The next morning, the doctor came in smiling again. You're stronger than we thought, he said. I smiled back. So I hear. Outside my room, I heard raised voices. My sister arguing. My son angry. My daughter crying. They were panicking. Because now they knew two things. I wasn't asleep. And I wasn't alone. But they still didn't know the most important thing. I wasn't finished yet. Because the next move wouldn't happen in the hospital. It would happen where they least expected it. And someone else would be listening too. Before I continue this story, kindly subscribe, like, turn on the bell, and tell me in the comments where you're watching from. When people think you're dying, they talk too much. When they realize you are not, they panic. The morning after the nurse sent them out, my room felt different. Quieter, but not peaceful. I sat up in bed, slow and steady, watching the sunlight touch the wall. I wasn't weak anymore. Not like they thought. The doctor came in with a clipboard and a soft smile. You're responding well, he said. Better than expected. I nodded. I feel clearer, I told him. And I did. Clear like water after a storm settles. He hesitated. Your family asked about arrangements. I looked at him. What kind of arrangements? He cleared his throat. In case things went the other way. I laughed. A short sound. Dry. Well, I said, they were early. The doctor studied me. Then nodded once. I'll note that. After he left, I reached for my phone. No missed calls. No messages. That told me everything. By noon, the whispers started again. But this time, they weren't careful. I heard my sister in the hallway. This wasn't the plan. My son snapped back. She told the nurse she felt unsafe. My daughter's voice cracked. She's acting strange. Strain. Because I stopped begging. I pressed the call button. The nurse came in. Yes, ma'am. Can you tell them, I said calmly, that I need rest today? She smiled. I'll handle it. And she did. Firmly. They weren't allowed back in until evening. By then, they were shaking. When they came in, they wore soft faces. Too soft. My daughter took my hand. Mama, we were scared. I didn't squeeze back. My sister smiled thinly. You gave us a fright. I met her eyes. So did you. Silence. My son stood near the door. Arms crossed. Angry. Afraid. I don't need visitors today, I said. My daughter gasped. But we came all this way. I nodded. I know. Then I turned my head. And closed my eyes. The nurse stepped forward. You heard her. They left again. Harder this time. That night, I made my first call. Not to family. To someone I hadn't spoken to in years. Hello, the woman answered. It's me, I said. There was a pause. Then a sharp breath. You're alive. Yes, I said, and I need help. She didn't ask questions. She just said, I'm coming tomorrow. I slept better than I had in weeks. The next morning, my family arrived early. Too early. But this time, someone was already there, sitting by my window. Calm. Watching. When my daughter walked in and saw her, she froze. "What is she doing here?" she snapped. I smiled. I stopped explaining myself. And that scared them more than sickness ever did. Before I continue this story, kindly subscribe, like, turn on the bell, and tell me in the comments where you're watching from. My daughter stood frozen in the doorway. Her mouth opened, then closed, like she didn't know which lie to use first. My sister recovered faster. She always did. "Why is she here?" she asked again, forcing a smile. The woman by my window didn't look up. She kept her hands folded in her lap. Calm. Still. "That," I said quietly, "is my friend." My son laughed once. A sharp sound. "You don't have friends," he said. "You barely leave the house." The woman turned her head then, slowly, and looked straight at him. "I've known your mother for 37 years, she said. Her voice was low, firm. "She saved my life once." The room shifted. I felt it, like the air got heavier. My daughter stepped forward. "Mama, why didn't you tell us someone else was coming?" I met her eyes. "You didn't tell me you were dividing my things." Her face drained of color. My sister scoffed. "That's not fair." "No," I said, "it's not." The woman finally stood. She was tall, wore simple clothes, no jewelry, no softness in her eyes. "My name is Ruth," she said, "and your mother asked me to come because she doesn't feel safe." My son's jaw tightened. "She's confused." Ruth didn't blink. "She's clear." I nodded, clearer than I'd ever been. My daughter started crying. Real tears this time. "We thought we were helping." I sighed. "You fought over my ring while I was still breathing." Silence. Thick. Sticky. The nurse appeared at the door again. Everything always happened when truth got too loud. "Is everything all right?" she asked. Ruth answered first. "No." The nurse stepped in. "What's going on?" "I'd like my family visits limited," I said calmly. My daughter gasped. "You can't do that." The nurse looked at her. "Yes, she can." My sister raised her voice. "This is ridiculous." The nurse straightened. "I'll ask you to leave." They left. Again. But this time, they didn't argue. They didn't shout. They were scared. When the door closed, I sat back. My hands shook. But I didn't hide them. Ruth sat beside me. "You did good," she said. "I waited too long," I replied. She shook her head. "You waited until you were ready." Later that afternoon, the doctor returned. With paperwork. "I've noted your request," he said. "Only approved visitors." "Good," I said. He hesitated. "There's something else." I looked at him. "Your family asked about your will." Ruth stiffened. I smiled. "Did they?" He nodded. "I told them it's not appropriate." "Thank you," I said. When he left, Ruth leaned closer. "They think time is running out." I nodded. "Let them think that." That evening, my phone buzzed. A message from my daughter. "Please talk to me." I didn't reply. Then another. "We're family." Still nothing. Then one more. "You owe us an explanation." That one made me laugh. Out loud. Ruth raised an eyebrow. "I spent my whole life explaining myself," I said. "I'm done." Outside my door, I heard footsteps. Whispers. Anger. They were planning again. I could feel it. But this time, they weren't planning for my death. They were planning for my resistance. And that made them desperate. Because the truth was simple. I wasn't dying. I wasn't weak. And I wasn't alone anymore. Before I continue this story, kindly subscribe, like, turn on the bell, and tell me in the comments where you're watching from. People don't show their worst side when they think they are winning. They show it when they feel control slipping through their fingers. I felt it before I saw it. That tight feeling in my chest. Not sickness. Instinct. The morning started too quiet. No calls. No messages. No knocking at my door. Ruth noticed it too. She stood by the window longer than usual, watching the parking lot. "They're planning something," she said. I nodded. I know. When you've lived with people long enough, you learn the sound of their silence. This one was loud. Around noon, the nurse came in with my lunch. Then hesitated. "There's been a request," she said carefully. My stomach tightened. "What kind of request?" "Your son called," she said. "He says you asked him to handle some paperwork." Ruth turned sharply. "That's not true." I shook my head. "I didn't ask him for anything." The nurse frowned. "He insisted, said you were confused earlier and didn't remember." There it was. The word they always used when I stopped obeying. Confused. Ruth crossed her arms. "That's a lie." The nurse nodded. "I thought so. I told him we'd need confirmation directly from you." She leaned closer. He didn't like that. After she left, Ruth shut the door. "Slow. Careful. They're trying to move fast," she said. I swallowed. "They think I won't be able to stop them." Ruth looked at me. "You can." "But I don't know how," I admitted. She reached into her bag. Pulled out a thin folder. Worn at the edges. "I kept everything," she said. "What everything?" I asked. She opened it. Inside were papers. Notes. Dates. "You remember when you helped me leave my husband?" she asked. I nodded. I remembered the bruises. The fear. The nights she slept on my couch. "He tried to take everything from me," she continued, "and your sister helped him." My heart skipped. "What?" "She lied," Ruth said, "signed papers behind my back. Tried to say I wasn't stable." My hands shook. "She never told me." "She didn't want you to know," Ruth said, "because she was already practicing." Practicing. Ruth met my eyes. "They've done this before, just not to you." That afternoon, my daughter finally came alone. No sister. No brother. Her eyes were red. Her voice soft. "Mama, can we talk?" Ruth stayed seated. Didn't move. "About what?" I asked. "You," she said. "Your health, your future." I laughed. "You mean my things?" She flinched. "That's not fair." Then, why did my son call the nurse pretending I asked him for control? She froze. "I didn't know about that," she whispered. I leaned forward. "Then tell me what you do know." She sat, hands trembling. "Auntie says you're being influenced," she said. "That Ruth wants something." Ruth smiled thinly. "I want her alive." My daughter's tears fell harder. "We're scared," she cried. "So am I said quietly. "But you don't rob people because you're scared." She opened her mouth. Closed it. Outside the door, voices rose. My son. My sister. They were coming back together. Ruth stood. "They've decided to push." My chest tightened. Not fear. Resolve. "Let them," I said. Because desperation makes people sloppy. And sloppy people leave proof behind. Before I continue this story, kindly subscribe, like, turn on the bell, and tell me in the comments where you're watching from. They didn't knock this time. They never did when they thought they were right. The door opened hard. Too fast. Like they were afraid someone might stop them. My son came in first. Jaw tight. Eyes sharp. My sister followed, lips pressed together, purse clutched like a shield. My daughter stayed back near the door. Torn. Ruth didn't move. She stood her ground beside my bed. What is this? My son snapped, looking at her. Why are you still here? She's here because I asked her to be, I said. He ignored me. That's not what the nurse said earlier. I sat up straighter. What did the nurse say? He hesitated. Just a second. Too long. That you've been confused, he said. That you don't always remember things. Ruth inhaled sharply. I laughed. Not loud. Not soft. Just enough to make him uncomfortable. Is that what you're telling people now? I asked. My sister jumped in. We're worried about you. Then stop lying about me, I said. My daughter whispered, Mama, please. I looked at her. You knew. She shook her head quickly. I didn't know everything. My son pulled a folded paper from his pocket. Held it up. We just want to help, he said. This gives us permission to step in if things get worse. Ruth stepped closer. Put that away. He smirked. It's already been seen. My heart thudded. What kind of paper? My sister answered. Something simple, just in case. Just in case I die, I said. Silence. I reached out. Give it to me. My son hesitated again. Then handed it over. I read every word slowly. Concern for mental clarity. Temporary decision-making assistance. Family oversight. My hands shook. Not weak. Angry. You wrote this, I asked. My sister nodded. We had to. You didn't even ask me, I whispered. We tried, my son said. You wouldn't listen. No, I said. You didn't like my answers. Ruth spoke calmly. This document means nothing without consent. My sister snapped. It means concern. It means control, Ruth replied. The nurse appeared again, drawn by raised voices. What's happening? She asked. My son turned quickly. We're worried about her mental state. I felt something snap inside me. Not loudly. Cleanly. I know exactly what's happening, I said. Everyone turned. You thought I was dying, I continued. You thought time was short, and instead of loving me, you raced. My daughter sobbed. You whispered over my bed, I said. You touched my things while I was awake. You planned while I listened. The nurse stared. Is that true? No one answered. Ruth spoke. She's been alert, aware, and clear every day. The nurse looked at me. Do you feel pressured? Yes, I said. That one word hung heavy. The nurse straightened. I need everyone but the patient to step out. My son protested. This is family business. It's not, the nurse replied. It's patient safety. They left. Again. But this time, their faces weren't angry. They were exposed. When the door closed, my body shook. Not fear. Release. Ruth placed a hand on mine. You see it now, she said. Yes, I whispered. They weren't waiting for me to die. They were preparing to take over, she said. That evening, my doctor returned. Serious this time. There's been a concern raised, he said. I met his eyes. I know. He nodded. I've reviewed everything. There's no sign of confusion. I exhaled. But, he added, you should know this won't stop them. I nodded. I know that too. Because people who feel entitled don't back down easily. They double down. Outside my room, I heard my sister's voice again. Lower now. Urgent. We need to move faster, she said. And that's when I understood something clearly. This wasn't about my health anymore. This was about time. And they thought they were running out of it. Before I continue this story, kindly subscribe, like, turn on the bell, and tell me in the comments where you're watching from. The hardest truth didn't come all at once. It came slowly, piece by piece, like a picture forming when the fog lifts. After they were sent out again, my room felt colder. Not from air, from distance. Ruth closed the door gently and leaned against it. "They won't stop," she said. I stared at the wall. I know. My body felt tired, but my mind felt wide awake. Too awake. The doctor came back later that evening. This time, he pulled a chair close. Sat down. "I want to be honest with you," he said. I nodded. "Please." He lowered his voice. "When families raise concerns like this, even when they're false, it creates a trail." "What kind of trail?" I asked. "Paper," he said. "Notes, flags, people watching." Ruth crossed her arms. "And if the family keeps pushing?" He sighed. "Then the system listens." That word again. System. "So what do?" I asked. He looked me straight in the eye. "You document everything, and you choose who speaks for you." After he left, Ruth sat beside me. "You need protection," she said. "I thought family was protection," I replied. She didn't argue. That night, I didn't sleep. I replayed every moment, every whisper, every look. I remembered my sister helping Ruth's husband years ago. I remembered her saying, "Sometimes people need guidance." Guidance. I realized something that made my chest tighten. This wasn't their first time trying this. It was just their first time being caught. The next morning, a woman came into my room. Older. Gray hair pulled back tight. Clipboard in hand. "I'm with patient services," she said. My heart skipped. She smiled kindly. "I'm here to check on your comfort and safety." I nodded. She asked simple questions. What day was it? Where was I? Who was the president? I answered calmly. Clearly. She smiled again. "You're very sharp." I almost laughed. Then she asked the question that mattered. "Do you feel anyone is trying to control your decisions?" I didn't hesitate. "Yes." She paused, marked something down. "Who?" she asked gently. "My family," I said. She nodded slowly. "I hear that more often than people think." That afternoon, my daughter came alone again. No crying this time. Just tension. She sat without asking. "Mama," she said, "why are you doing this?" "Doing what?" I asked. "Turning people against us." I stared at her. "I'm protecting myself." She shook her head. "Auntie says you're scared and being influenced." Ruth spoke calmly. "Your aunt has a history of interference." My daughter snapped. "You don't belong here." I raised my hand. "She stays." That shut her up. "Mama," she whispered, "if you keep this up, things will get ugly." That was when it hit me. Not fear. Clarity. This wasn't about love. Or misunderstanding. Or fear of losing me. This was about control. And they were willing to threaten to keep it. I leaned forward. "You don't scare me anymore," I said. She stared at me. "I carried you," I continued. "I raised you, and I will not disappear quietly so you can divide my life." Her eyes filled. Not with sadness. With anger. "You're making a mistake," she said. "No," I replied. "I waited too long to stop one." She stood. Left without hugging me. Ruth exhaled. That was a line. "Yes," I said. "And once crossed, there's no going back." That night, Ruth pulled out her phone. "There's someone you need to talk to," she said. Who? I asked. Someone who knows how families do this, she replied. My stomach tightened. Tomorrow, she added, if you're ready. I nodded. I am. Because now I understood the truth. This wasn't just about saving myself. It was about stopping them from doing this to anyone else. Before I continue this story, kindly subscribe, like, turn on the bell, and tell me in the comments where you're watching from. The woman Ruth brought the next morning didn't look like someone who caused trouble. That's what made her dangerous. She was calm, neat, carried herself like she had seen everything and survived it. My name is Elaine, she said softly, shaking my hand. I help older adults protect themselves when family lines get crossed. Crossed? That word landed heavy. I looked at Ruth. She nodded. She's helped others. Elaine sat down slowly. Not rushed. Not nervous. I'm not here to scare you, she said. I'm here to name what's happening. I swallowed. Name it. She opened her notebook. What your family is doing has a pattern, she said. It starts with concern, then confusion, then control. My chest tightened. They test boundaries, she continued. They watch how institutions respond, and when they feel resistance, they escalate. That's exactly what they're doing, Ruth said. Elaine nodded. They always do. I whispered, how many times have you seen this? Too many, she replied. She leaned forward. When families believe entitlement outweighs love, they justify anything. I thought of the paper my son held. The whispering. The hands under my pillow. Am I in danger? I asked. Elaine didn't rush to answer. No, she said carefully. Not yet. That word. Yet. But, she continued, if you don't act first, they will. My heart pounded. What kind of action? Clear authority, she said. Clear boundaries and witnesses. I laughed softly. They don't listen to me. Elaine smiled sadly. They will listen when you stop being alone. That afternoon, my sister showed up again. Without warning. Without permission. She stormed in. What is this? She demanded, seeing Elaine. Elaine stood calmly. Good afternoon. My sister sneered. So now strangers are running your life. No, I said, I am. She scoffed. You're being dramatic. Elaine tilted her head. Would you like to explain why you drafted a decision control document without consent? My sister froze. I don't know what you're talking about, she snapped. Elaine opened her folder. You used the same wording you used in another case 10 years ago. My stomach dropped. What case? I asked. My sister's face changed. Not anger. Fear. Ruth whispered, tell her. Elaine spoke gently. You've done this before, with a woman named Lorna. Silence crashed into the room. My sister's voice shook. That was different. Elaine's eyes hardened. No, it was. My daughter stood behind her. Confused. What is she talking about? I looked at my sister. Tell her, I said. She didn't. Elaine did. Lorna lost control of her finances, her home, her voice. By the time she realized what happened, it was too late. My daughter covered her mouth. Ruth closed her eyes. I felt something deep and cold settle in my chest. You practiced on others, I whispered. My sister backed away. You don't understand. Leave, I said. She didn't move. Elaine raised her voice for the first time. Leave now, or I escalate this beyond family. That did it. My sister fled. My daughter followed. Crying. When the door closed, I felt hollow. And clear. Elaine turned to me. This confirms it. Confirms what? I asked. That they won't stop unless you stop them, she said. I nodded slowly. What do I do? She smiled. You prepare. For what? I whispered. For the moment they make their biggest mistake. Because they always do. Outside my room, voices rose again. My son this time. Angry. They can't shut us out forever, he snapped. Elaine looked at me. They're getting reckless. I took a deep breath. Good. Because reckless people reveal themselves. And the truth was no longer just mine. It had witnesses now. Before I continue this story, kindly subscribe, like, turn on the bell, and tell me in the comments where you're watching from. People like to believe family loyalty is unbreakable. But loyalty built on greed cracks fast. The change started the very next morning. Not with shouting. Not with threats. With silence. No visits. No calls. No messages. Ruth noticed first. They're regrouping, she said. Elaine nodded. And blaming each other. I sat by the window, watching the parking lot again. The same place Ruth had watched days before. But this time, I felt steady. They won't come together anymore, Elaine continued. They'll come separately. She was right. That afternoon, my son showed up alone. No sister. No daughter. His shoulders were tight. His face tired. He didn't sit. Just stood near the door. Mama, he said quietly, we need to talk. I folded my hands. We've been talking. He swallowed. Auntie went too far. Ruth raised an eyebrow. You think? I asked. He sighed. She shouldn't have brought papers. That made things messy. Messy. Like it was a mistake. So you didn't know about them? I asked. He hesitated. Just long enough. I didn't write them, he said. But you plan to use them, I replied. His jaw clenched. I was trying to protect you, he muttered. Elaine spoke softly. From what? He snapped his head toward her. You don't belong in this. She didn't blink. I belong wherever exploitation happens. He turned back to me. You don't understand how things work. I smiled faintly. I understand exactly how they work now. He stepped closer, lowered his voice. You're tearing the family apart. I met his eyes. No, I stopped holding it together alone. That landed. Hard. He rubbed his face. She panicked, he said. Auntie, she thought time was short. So did you, I replied. He didn't deny it. She crossed a line, he continued. But we can fix this. I leaned back. How? By keeping outsiders out of it, he said. Ruth laughed softly. Elaine shook her head. That's not fixing, she said. That's hiding. His voice hardened. If you push this, people will talk. I tilted my head. Let them. That surprised him. You don't care, he asked. I care about peace, I said, not appearances. He stood there torn. I could see it. The part of him that still remembered me as his mother. And the part that saw me as an obstacle. I never thought you'd do this, he said. I never thought you'd whisper over my bed, I replied. That ended the conversation. He left without saying goodbye. That evening, my daughter came. Alone again. Her eyes were red. Her hands shaking. She sat down slowly. I didn't know about Lorna, she whispered. I studied her. Did you know about the paper? She shook her head. Not until after. After. I swear, she said, I didn't plan this. I nodded. I believe you didn't start it. Her shoulders sagged. But, I continued, you didn't stop it. She cried then. Hard. Real. I was scared, she said. They said you were slipping away. I reached out. Held her hand. For once, they told the truth. She looked up. Confused. I was slipping, I said, because I trusted them more than myself. She sobbed. I don't want to lose you. I squeezed her hand gently. Then listen. She nodded quickly. I am not confused, I said. I am not weak, and I am not giving up my voice. She wiped her face. I'll tell them. Elaine spoke softly. That will cost you. My daughter hesitated. I know, she whispered. Outside, raised voices echoed down the hall. My sister. My son. Arguing. They weren't whispering anymore. They were turning. And once that starts, it doesn't stop cleanly. I closed my eyes. Not from fear. From certainty. The breaking point wasn't coming. It had already begun. Before I continue this story, kindly subscribe, like, turn on the bell, and tell me in the comments where you're watching from. The arguing didn't stop. It grew. I could hear it through the walls. My sister's sharp voice. My son's low, angry one. You promised, my sister hissed. I promised to help, not to ruin everything, my son snapped back. My daughter stood frozen near my bed. They're fighting because of me, she whispered. No, I said calmly. They're fighting because the truth doesn't like company. Elaine leaned closer to the door, listening. They're scared, she said, and scared people choose sides fast. Just then, the door flew open. My sister stormed in. Hair loose. Eyes wild. This is your fault, she screamed, pointing at my daughter. My daughter flinched. I didn't do anything. You told them, my sister shouted. You opened your mouth. Ruth stepped forward. That's enough. My sister turned on her. You did this, she spat. You poisoned her mind. I spoke, my voice steady. Leave my room. She laughed. A hard sound. You think you can order me around now? Yes, I said, I can. She took another step toward my bed. I sacrificed for this family, she snarled. I won't be cut out now. Elaine moved between us. Step back. My sister's eyes flashed. You can't stop me. That's when the nurse appeared, followed by security. Everything stopped at once. What's going on here? The guard asked. My sister pointed at me. She's being manipulated. I looked at the guard. I asked her to leave. She refused. The guard nodded. Ma'am, you'll need to step outside. My sister stared. Shocked. You can't do this, she said. But they already were. As she was escorted out, she turned back. Her face twisted. This isn't over, she hissed. The door shut. Hard. Silence followed. Deep. My daughter collapsed into the chair, shaking. I didn't know she could be like that. I reached out. Now you do. Elaine exhaled slowly. That reaction tells me everything. About what? I asked. She feels entitled, Elaine said, and entitlement doesn't walk away quietly. Later that evening, my son returned. Not angry. Controlled. Too controlled. I want to fix this, he said. Ruth scoffed. Not like that, he added quickly, just privately. I studied him. What does fixing look like to you? He hesitated. Everyone calming down. That sounds like silence, I said. He sighed. Auntie's emotional. She's dangerous, Elaine replied. His jaw tightened. You're exaggerating. No, Elaine said. You're minimizing. He turned back to me. You're still my mother. Yes, I replied, and that's why I won't let you do this to me. His eyes darkened. You don't know what you're risking, he warned. I smiled softly. I know exactly what I'm risking. He stared at me, then nodded slowly. Fine, he said. Have it your way. He left without another word. Ruth leaned in. That was a threat. Yes, I agreed. That night, Elaine didn't leave. She slept in the chair, Ruth by the window. I lay awake, not afraid, alert. Around midnight, my phone buzzed. A message from an unknown number. You should stop before things get worse. I deleted it. Then another message came. We can still make this easy. I didn't reply, because easy for them meant disappearing for me. The next message came 5 minutes later. You don't know who you're dealing with. I stared at the screen, then handed the phone to Elaine. She read it. Her face hardened. They're escalating, she said. Ruth whispered, what does that mean? Elaine met my eyes. It means the next move won't be words. I took a deep breath. Then we act first. She nodded. Yes, tomorrow. I closed my eyes. Not in fear. In resolve. Because my family had crossed every line. And now there would be consequences. Before I continue this story, kindly subscribe, like, turn on the bell, and tell me in the comments where you're watching from. The next morning didn't begin with shouting. That's how I knew something was wrong. Hospitals are never truly quiet. There's always a cart rolling, a monitor beeping, someone coughing down the hall. But that morning, my door stayed closed. Too long. Elaine was already awake, sitting straight in the chair, phone in her hand. They've made a move, she said. My stomach tightened. What kind? She held up her phone. They called someone they shouldn't have. Ruth frowned. Who? Elaine didn't answer right away. She stood, walked to the door, checked the hallway. Someone who thinks silence is the same as agreement, she said. I swung my legs off the bed. Slow. Careful. I'm listening. She sat back down. Your sister contacted an old connection, she said. Someone who believes family problems should be handled quietly. Quietly. That word again. They're trying to create pressure, Elaine continued. Not on you, around you. Before I could ask more, the nurse knocked. Her face looked tight. Good morning, she said, but it didn't sound like one. What's wrong? I asked. There's been a request, she said carefully, for a meeting. Elaine and I exchanged a look. Who requested it? Elaine asked. Your sister, the nurse replied, and your son. I laughed softly. They never stop asking. The nurse hesitated. They brought someone with them. Ruth stiffened. Who? The nurse lowered her voice. A family advisor. Elaine exhaled through her nose. There it is. I nodded. They think if they sound official, I'll fold. The meeting happened in a small room down the hall. Bright lights. Too many chairs. My sister sat stiffly. My son beside her. Between them sat a man in a gray jacket. Neat. Smiling. He stood when I entered. Mrs. Turner, he said warmly, I'm here to help everyone find peace. Peace. Always peace. Elaine sat beside me. Ruth behind us. You weren't invited, the man added, glancing at Elaine. Elaine smiled. I was asked. My sister crossed her arms. This is unnecessary. The man leaned forward. Your family is concerned, he said gently. They worry stress is affecting your judgment. I looked at him. Do you? He paused. I think families should stick together. That's not an answer, I said. My son spoke quickly. We just want to make sure you're protected. From what? I asked. From outside influence, my sister snapped, looking at Elaine. Elaine tilted her head. Outside of what? The man cleared his throat. This doesn't need to get complicated. I smiled. Then stop complicating it. My sister leaned forward. You're embarrassing us. That word hit harder than any insult. Embarrassing, I repeated, by being alive. Silence. The man tried again. Sometimes elders misunderstand intentions. I leaned back. Sometimes families misunderstand boundaries. Elaine placed a folder on the table. Thin. Heavy. What's that? My son asked. Proof, Elaine replied calmly. My sister's face drained. Proof of what? The man asked. Elaine smiled. That this conversation isn't about care. I watched my sister's hands shake. Just a little. Because she knew. Whatever Elaine brought with her. They weren't ready for it. And for the first time, I saw it clearly. They didn't come to win me back. They came because they were losing control. Before I continue this story, kindly subscribe, like, turn on the bell, and tell me in the comments where you're watching from. Elaine didn't open the folder right away. She let it sit there. Let them stare at it. Let their minds race faster than their mouths. The man in the gray jacket cleared his throat. I'm sure we can keep this respectful, he said. Elaine smiled politely. That depends on honesty. My sister shifted in her chair. You're making this bigger than it is. Elaine finally opened the folder. Inside were copies. Emails. Dates. Names. She slid the first page across the table. The man glanced down. Then frowned. What is this? He asked. A record of contact, Elaine replied, between you and her. She nodded toward my sister. The room went still. My son leaned forward. What contact? Elaine turned another page. Calls, messages, meetings. The man straightened. I don't see the issue. Elaine met his eyes. You were asked to pressure an adult who has clearly stated her boundaries. My sister snapped. That's not what happened. Elaine didn't look at her. You were advised to encourage cooperation by implying consequences. The man's smile faded. I finally spoke. You told them I was difficult. He hesitated. Concerned, he corrected. You told them I was slipping, I said. My daughter's breath caught. Elaine slid one more page forward. Your exact words were, she won't want this public. My son stood up. What does that mean? The man's jaw tightened. Elaine closed the folder gently. It means this wasn't about peace. It was about pressure. Silence swallowed the room. The man stood. I think I should leave. Elaine nodded. That would be wise. He left without another word. No handshake. No smile. My sister stared at the door. Then at me. You set us up. No, I said calmly. I stopped covering for you. My son rubbed his face. You didn't have to humiliate us. I didn't humiliate anyone, I replied. You did that yourselves. My daughter whispered, Is it over? Elaine answered. No, but it's different now. We returned to my room. The hallway felt lighter. Like something heavy had been lifted. Ruth smiled. They didn't expect witnesses. No, I said, they never do. That afternoon, Elaine stayed longer than planned. She helped me make calls. Quiet ones. Careful ones. Not to accuse. To clarify. By evening, the tone changed. Nurses spoke differently. Staff checked in more often. I wasn't isolated anymore. That night, my son texted. We need to talk. I didn't reply. My sister sent a message too. You've gone too far. I turned the phone face down. Ruth squeezed my hand. You okay? I nodded. For the first time in a long time. Elaine packed her folder. They've lost leverage, she said. Now they'll test limits. Let them, I replied. Because limits are only scary to people who never plan to respect them. As the lights dimmed, I thought about something Ruth once told me. People don't panic when they're innocent. They panic when the story changes. And the story had changed. Not loudly. Not dramatically. But enough. Because from this point on, they weren't deciding what happened next. I was. When people lose control quietly, they don't accept it. They test it. One last time. The morning started with a knock. Not loud. Not polite. Firm. Elaine answered it before anyone else could. She cracked the door just enough. My son stood there. Alone. No sister. No daughter. I need 5 minutes, he said. Just me and my mother. Elaine looked at me. I nodded once. She stepped aside but stayed close. Close enough. My son walked in slowly. Like someone entering a room that used to belong to him. He didn't sit. Didn't smile. Didn't pretend. You're serious about this, he said. Yes, I replied. He nodded. Then I'll be honest too. I waited. We underestimated you, he said. That almost made me laugh. You thought I was done, I said. He looked down. We thought time was on our side. There it was. I never wanted it to be like this, he continued. But Auntie pushed, Ruth interfered, Elaine escalated. I raised a hand. No. He stopped. You don't get to name the cause, I said. You only get to name your part. His jaw tightened. I let it happen, he admitted, because I thought it was easier than arguing with you. That hurt more than anger. So this was about convenience, I said. He nodded once. You didn't think I'd hear you, I said. He swallowed. You didn't think I'd remember, I continued. He didn't answer. I heard everything, I said softly. When you thought I was asleep, when you counted my things, when you planned. His eyes flicked away. I'm not here to fight, he said. I'm here to make a deal. Elaine shifted. I leaned back. What kind of deal? We stepped back, he said. No more pressure, no more interference. And, I asked, and you keep this private. There it was. The real offer. You want silence, I said. I want peace, he replied. I smiled sadly. Peace that costs me my voice is not peace. He sighed. You don't understand how this will look. I understand exactly how it will feel, I replied. He stepped closer. Lowered his voice. You don't need to push this further. Elaine spoke calmly. She already decided. He turned to her sharply. This is between family. She met his gaze. Family stopped being a shield the moment you used it as a weapon. He clenched his fists. Then what do you want? He asked me. I looked at him. Really looked. The boy I raised. The man he became. I want you to stop, I said, completely. He nodded slowly. And if I do? The room went still. I answered without hesitation. Then I continue. He studied me. Long. Careful. You've changed, he said. No, I replied. I stopped shrinking. He exhaled sharply. This ends families. Only the ones built on control, I said. Outside the room, footsteps echoed. My daughter. Approaching. My son glanced toward the door. Then back at me. You'll regret this, he said quietly. I didn't argue. I didn't plead. I didn't explain. I'll live with it, I said. He stared for a moment longer. Then turned. Left without another word. Elaine closed the door gently. That was his last attempt, she said. Is it? I asked. She nodded. He offered silence. That means he's out of leverage. I sat still. Heart steady. But deep inside, I knew something else. People who lose leverage don't always walk away. Sometimes, they lash out. And the day wasn't over yet. Before I continue this story, kindly subscribe, like, turn on the bell, and tell me in the comments where you're watching from. My daughter came in slowly. Not crying. Not shaking. That scared me more than tears ever could. She closed the door behind her. Stood there. Hands clasped. "I heard him," she said. "I didn't ask who. He told me you were being stubborn," she continued. "That you were ruining everything." Elaine stayed quiet. Ruth watched closely. "And?" I asked. She swallowed. "He said if I stayed on your side, I'd be cut out." My chest tightened. "Cut out of what?" I asked gently. She hesitated. "Everything." There it was again. She sat down heavily. I didn't realize how much of our family was built on conditions. I reached for her hand. "When love comes with threats, it's not love." She nodded slowly. "I know that now." Elaine spoke softly. "They made you choose." "Yes," my daughter said, "and I chose wrong before." I squeezed her hand. "You can choose again." Her eyes filled. "I don't know how to fix this." "You don't," I replied. "You just stop helping them hurt me." She nodded. "I will." Outside, raised voices echoed again. Familiar. Sharp. My sister. She didn't knock. She never did when she was desperate. The door flew open. Her face was pale. Sweat on her brow. "You think you've won," she hissed. Elaine stood. "Leave." My sister ignored her. "You turned them against me," she said, pointing at me. "No," I replied calmly. "You showed them who you were." She laughed. A broken sound. "You think this ends here," she said. "You think papers and witnesses scare me." My daughter stood up. "Auntie, stop." My sister turned on her. "You traitor." "That's enough," I said sharply. She looked at me then. Really looked. "I protected this family," she said. "I made hard choices." "You made selfish ones," I replied. Her breathing quickened. "I have proof," she said suddenly. "Things you don't want seen." Elaine's eyes narrowed. "What proof?" I asked. My sister smiled thinly. "Records, stories, things that could embarrass you." I felt a flicker of fear. Not for myself. For the lie she was about to tell. Elaine stepped forward. "Threats won't help you." "They might," my sister replied, "if she values her reputation." I stood up. Slow. Steady. "I value truth," I said, "even when it hurts." That surprised her. "You wouldn't," she scoffed. "I already have," I replied. She stared at me. Then at Elaine. Then at my daughter. Her voice dropped. "If you don't stop this, I'll make things messy." I nodded. "You already did." Security appeared again. Called by someone. I didn't know who. My sister backed away. "This isn't finished," she said. The guard stepped closer. "It is for today." As she was let out, she turned back one last time. Her eyes burned. "You'll regret trusting them," she said. I met her gaze. "I regret trusting you longer." The door closed. Silence rushed in. My daughter collapsed into the chair. Shaking. "I didn't know she could threaten you like that." Elaine exhaled slowly. "Now we know her final move." "What is it?" Ruth asked. Elaine met my eyes. "Exposure, or at least the attempt." I nodded. "She thinks fear will bring me back." "Will it?" my daughter asked quietly. I shook my head. "No." Because fear already had me once. And I survived it. Elaine packed her things. "Tomorrow," she said, "we lock everything down." "What about tonight?" Ruth asked. Elaine's voice dropped. "Tonight is the calm before the last push." I lay back in bed. Heart steady. Mind clear. They had tried silence. They had tried pressure. They had tried threats. Now they would try one final thing. And whatever it was, it would decide everything. Before I continue this story, kindly subscribe, like, turn on the bell, and tell me in the comments where you're watching from. The last night before everything changed was quiet. Not the kind of quiet that feels empty. The kind that feels decided. I lay in bed with my eyes open, staring at the ceiling, listening to the slow rhythm of the building around me. The hum of machines. Soft footsteps in the hallway. Life continuing. Ruth slept lightly in the chair. Elaine sat near the window, reading but not really reading. My daughter rested on the couch, curled up like she used to be when she was small. No one spoke, because nothing else needed to be said. I thought about all the nights I had stayed awake for other people. Worried. Planning. Protecting. And I realized something simple and painful. No one had ever stayed awake like this for me. Not until now. Just before dawn, my phone buzzed. One message. From my sister. You still have time to stop this. I stared at it for a long moment. Then I deleted it. When the sun rose, I felt lighter. Not healed. Not whole. But steady. Elaine looked up. Today is the day, she said. I nodded. Yes. By mid-morning, the staff gathered quietly. Nothing dramatic. Just calm attention. Elaine spoke first. Mrs. Turner has something she wants to say. I sat up straighter. My voice didn't shake. I want it noted, I said, that I am clear, aware, and speaking for myself. Heads nodded. Pens moved. I also want it known, I continued, that any decisions about my life, my care, and my belongings come from me. My daughter held her breath. I am not cutting anyone off, I said, but I am stepping forward. Ruth smiled softly. I took a deep breath. For too long, I stayed quiet because I thought love meant endurance. No one interrupted. But love without respect is not love, I said. It is control. Later that afternoon, my family came. All of them. Together. For the first time in days. My sister stood stiff. My son avoided my eyes. My daughter stayed close to me. I asked you here, I said calmly, because I'm leaving. My sister scoffed. You're sick. No, I replied. I'm done. My son frowned. Where will you go? Somewhere peaceful, I said. Somewhere I choose. They laughed. Briefly. Nervously. You can't just walk away, my sister snapped. I looked at her. I already have. Elaine stepped forward. All arrangements have been made. My sister's smile faded. You planned this, my son said. Yes, I replied, while you were counting. Silence fell. Heavy. My daughter spoke. I'm going with her. That broke something. My sister gasped. You can't be serious. I am, my daughter said firmly. I won't help hurt her anymore. My sister turned on me. You did this. No, I said gently. I stopped hiding. Ruth stood. She's not alone anymore. My sister shook her head. This isn't how families work. I met her eyes. It's how survival works. They left angry. Confused. Unfinished. But I didn't feel unfinished. As the door closed, my daughter took my hand. I'm sorry, she whispered. I squeezed back. I know. Elaine smiled. This is the turning point. I looked around the room one last time. The place where they thought I would fade. Where they whispered. Where they planned. I didn't fade. I woke up. And as I was wheeled down the hallway toward my new beginning, I realized something important. They fought over my things because they thought my life was ending. But the truth was, it was just beginning. If this story touched you, please subscribe, like, and turn on the notification bell for more emotional stories like this. Tell me in the comments where you're watching from. Somewhere out there, I might be reading.